is MC Fireside Chats, a weekly show featuring conversations with thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and outdoor hospitality experts who share their insights to help your business succeed. Hosted by Brian Searl, the founder and CEO of Insider Perks, and powered by insights from Modern Campground, the most innovative news source in the industry.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of MC Fireside Chats. Apologies for being a couple minutes late this morning. We had all kinds of problems with our software, and so we're up and running now. So hopefully you all stuck around for a few minutes, and we're excited to bring our last episode of the year to you here on December 20th before we all break for Christmas and New Year's. Excited to spend time with our families, loved ones, all that kind of stuff. So we brought back a couple guests who have been on throughout the year just to talk about a little bit about how their year's gone, how they, how 2023 shaped or mismatched with their expectations, kind of what they're expecting for 2024. So who knows where this conversation is going to go. Hopefully it'll involve as little as me as possible. So it is a good show. But where do we want to start, guys? I want to go around and introduce everybody, right? I think actually Greg has not been on the show before from Camp Strategy. So let's start with Greg, and then we can kind of go around and whoever wants to talk next.
Yeah, that's right, man. Today's my maiden voyage, and thanks for having me on, Brian. I've watched you guys for a while, and excited to be part of it moving forward. So
Are you nervous?
No, yes, probably. I always get nervous talking in front of people. It doesn't matter if I can see them or not.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So Camp Strategy is my new venture. I've been consulting now since we sold. Actually, today is the 3-year anniversary of the sale of our campground. So it's 3 years today since we said goodbye, and I've been doing consulting since. But recently was approached by the one and only Jeff Hoffman to sort of team up. I guess I'm the Robin to his Batman, I think is probably the way he would describe it. And we have very good complementary skill sets. So looking forward to a new year with the new company Camp Strategy, and hopefully helping lots of owners or investors maximize their operations, make more money, and live happier lives.
All right. Well, I want to dive into a little bit of that later on during our show, because I know you guys, there's lots of companies who are coming into this space doing similar things, but I think you guys are a little bit different in who you want to target and what you want to actually do, which is not management, which I think is the one thing that immediately sets you apart.
Right on.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Okay, I will.
All right, Joann.
I'm Joann Delvescio. I am the executive director of the New Jersey Campground and Outdoor Lodging Association, representing all of the campgrounds in the great state of New Jersey.
Thanks for coming back.
Hi, Allie. And Allie's one of our campground owners in New Jersey. And Eric.
You better have Allie go next, and then Eric can follow her then.
Yes, we are Allie and Eric Rasmussen, co-founders of Spacious Skies Campground, with a home state campground in the great state of New Jersey. It's where we are headquartered as well. We have 15 campgrounds all along the East Coast, from Maine to Georgia. And we're excited to be back on the show.
But why are they all not in New Jersey? If Joann runs such a good state, why would you ever expand beyond that?
She's trying.
We're trying. Exactly. Joann knows. We're trying. The efforts don't stop. We love New Jersey. We love Joann.
Eric, you want to introduce you? I know she just introduced you, but
I think Allie covered much of me. I guess I'm the other half of Spacious Skies, Eric.
I usually do all the talking. You guys know that.
All right. Well, we'll pick your brain a little bit later, Eric, and then last but not least, Steve.
Hey, how is everybody? I am Steve Rappleyea. I'm president and CEO of Drivehome RV. We are a growing RV rental company, an RV outfitter. I, together with my son Alec and my wife Mary, run the company. We started out with 1 unit last year. We're up to 8 units this year, and are looking at continuing a pretty rapid growth. We specialize in not just renting RVs, but setting people up for their first adventure in outdoor travel. So it's pretty exciting work.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting sector, and we had you obviously on the show before, and I told you this before we started the show that I don't remember what I had for breakfast, but I do remember like what you do in the industry and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that we've had conversations with dealers about like, where is the industry headed as we go maybe into an economic downturn, maybe not, but are people going to buy RVs in the same level that they used to, or, use or rent or whatever else, right? And so I think there's an interesting conversation to be had there for sure. Maybe since we had you on the show last time, but so let's break this. Let's do this in two ways here, right? Let's start about, we'll go around the room, right? What did 2023 look like for you, both from a high level, but also from, if you remember, what did you expect from 2023 going into it? Did it live up to your expectations? Did things play out like you thought, better, worse, whatever you want to share? Like intentionally being broad, take it whatever direction you'd like. And then maybe we'll carve up the middle with Greg from Camp Strategy, since he's new on the show. And then we can do what we expect for 2024 at the end. Does that sound okay with everybody? Oh, Joshua did not intro, did he? Where is Joshua?
I did not.
Joshua, I'm sorry.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Josh Turner here, one of the owners here at Blackstrap Glamping Resort. We are located about 25 minutes out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. We, in phase one right now, we've just built 4 luxury themed glamping domes. Each one's got a different theme. We can talk about it a little bit later. And yeah, we've just opened up. Our first guest slept here last night. So it's pretty cool to be on this, on the show today.
Congratulations. Yeah, welcome back. We're excited we're going to talk about that too.
Congrats. Yeah, that's great.
Well, do you want to start with us, Joshua? Let's talk about, because I feel like there's an interesting story there, right? Coming into 2023, where were you at? Take us through 2023, your expectations, how they lived up or didn't.
We started when I was first on the show. It was midsummer. We have a tiki bar that's located close by here as well. So we were mid tiki bar, and there was some construction going on in the glamping resort. So just
I remember this now. Yeah. So were you driving in the beginning?
Yeah, I was driving because I had ice cream melting. My phone overheated. I had to put it in the freezer to get back on the last. It was a disaster.
This is the trick, Steve. Steve, if you're paying attention, you just have to do something crazy like this and then spark my memory, and I'll never forget you.
I'm very happy that you welcomed me back on the show. Anyhow, I made myself a little bit more secure and not driving this time in a nice, quiet geodome. So the whole year has been just us learning each phase of construction, how to build these things. The fact that we are building something completely different in a cold climate like Canada, we are offering year-round glamping. There was a lot of extra little pieces that we had to put into this and learn on the go. Going into 2024, now all the hard work's done, but now
don't do that yet. No, that's the second half of the show. You can't ruin that already.
All right.
2020. Okay, so 2023. What did it look like? Like January 1st, when you were, and I know not everybody sets resolutions, right? But when you were coming into 2023, where were you at with Blackstrap? Did it exist? Was it conceived? Were you seeking funding?
Oh yeah. We've been about 2 years.
Okay.
2 years working because we're within a provincial park, right? So it comes with its own, the park is, SAS Parks is absolutely amazing, but it comes with its own trial and tribulations when you're dealing with government entities and stuff. So we had some, trials and tribulations on different things about water usage and land location and stuff like that. But we worked all those out, and then we were able to break ground right in the spring.
So is it fair to say that you were planning on 2 years and you're right on track, or were you delayed a little bit, or?
Oh yeah. We were delayed like a year and a bit, not on construction, just on hold up and permitting and some financing too.
All right. So tell us about guest number 1 last night. How excited were you?
So nervous. I stayed up late and I woke up early just in case my phone was ringing that something happened. And it did.
What happened?
We lost power. We knew it was there was a planned power outage that they were going to do.
On your first night? Who are these power people?
My first day. And so we let the guests know we actually own a pizza place about 15 minutes away. So we went and brought them. We brought them pizza last night and said, hey, listen, there's going to be a generator that's parked down the road that's going to be a little loud, but it's going to provide you power. And then so they turned it on. And it worked. and then it stopped working. So they're just on their way right now to go get a bigger generator to power the resort so we can get our guests up and going. Our guests are so cool, laid back Saskatchewan people, and they kind of knew. So we'll make up for it somehow. Maybe a nice charcuterie board tonight or something like that. Some
Well,
wine.
I think that's the key, is setting the expectations, as we've talked about many different times on the show, right? Like, things happen, but if you're setting the expectation that this is going to be this or loud or whatever, and then honestly, like, if anything happens and you bring me pizza, like, you're all is forgiven.
Right? Pizza seems to solve a lot.
Yeah, everything. So, all right, we're going to come back to you. I want to know what 2024 was like. Who wants to go next? Who wants to volunteer?
Okay, I'll go since nobody else is speaking up. In New Jersey, we have just a little over 90 campgrounds, and our season is typically from April 1st through October 31st is when the campgrounds are open. Obviously, high season for us is Memorial Day through Labor Day. But we had a really good season again this past in 2023. We're kind of leveling out and becoming more realistic with our expectations as to what we're going to be seeing in the future. 20, 21, 22 were some really high. We hit some really high marks. And, the end of 22, we kind of saw it leveling out a little bit. And 23, like I said, we're seeing that we're probably more where I think we're going to be going forward, but it's still very strong. The phone was just ringing again. People are still looking to camp. They're looking to plan 2024 and speaking to the members. Some of the reservations already for 2024 are up. Folks that stayed in 2023 made their reservations for 2024. We've had, campgrounds that are putting in new amenities, and pickleball seems to be a big thing with the campgrounds now, splash pads. So, people are looking for the different types of amenities that campgrounds are putting in and are booking them. So, New Jersey so far, we are, knock on wood. Like I said, it was a good season. Obviously, we always have permitting issues in New Jersey. We are one of the most over-regulated states in the country. So it's not easy to expand a campground, or we haven't seen a new campground built in New Jersey from the bottom up, shovel into the ground. And I've been here for 11 years, and the 11 years that I've been here, and we've seen some of the heartache that some of the campground owners have gone through trying to do expansion. But, we certainly do our best going to planning and zoning meetings and speaking with some of our folks at the state level to try to mitigate some of the issues that they're seeing and try to make for a more smooth incorporation of any expansion that they're trying to do. But like I said, 2023 was a good year for us in New Jersey.
Do you see a lot of the glamping developments running into the same issues with permitting and expansion and building that the campgrounds are?
Well, we don't. I mean, if you're talking about the hip camp and those that they're putting in on the wineries and the breweries.
No. I mean, I mean well, you can talk about them if you want, right? But I think I was going for more towards the campgrounds that are adding glamping, or the glamping only, like the.
So outdoor. We call them outdoor adventure. Okay, sites or outdoor adventure lodging, outdoor lodging. We're not into the big glamping world, because New Jersey, we don't have a lot of glamping kind of, we don't have, restaurants and bars and indoor pools at our campgrounds, but we have outdoor lodging, and we have a lot of fun outdoor lodging. We have teepees and yurts and covered wagons and, tree houses. So those are the things that our folks are looking at. Obviously cabins, full service cabins now, not just the rustic cabins. So yes, we are seeing that our members are definitely investing in those types of units, but not necessarily, what some people are calling glamping units. We call them outdoor adventure units, the safari tents, those kinds of things. It's just more for how we speak in New Jersey and what we think people are looking for when they're looking for a campground in New Jersey.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's all the same thing, right? I don't think there's a predefined term. So, But I think I'm curious. KOA recently came out, and maybe you don't know enough about this that you haven't had enough time to study it. But I'm just curious what you think, as New Jersey being kind of a northern state that tends to have a big seasonality with the campgrounds. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
Do you feel that window is extending at all with the glamping, or like KOA recently reported on, they've seen a rise in wintertime camping?
Well, I mean, we've seen, like I said, most of the campgrounds close starting probably around October 31st. They might go into November 15th. A lot of it is the infrastructure, Brian. It gets cold here in New
The
Jersey.
pipes, yeah.
And once the pipes start to freeze, there's not a whole lot that you can do. So if you're looking to do winter camping in New Jersey, you can. We do have some campgrounds, especially in the northwest corner of the state and the mountains, that do have winter camping available, but you need to come in prepared, because you're not going to have access to water. You're not going to have access to bathhouses. You need to have a generator. You really do need to come in self-contained. So for us to extend the season, it's a little bit difficult only because of the infrastructure that's in the campgrounds.
But in theory, if you knew you had enough demand, is it possible? Not saying that it's reasonable or should be done by most people, but
yeah, and I think over the years we've seen some of the campgrounds remain open a little bit further than they have in years past because of that. But yeah, definitely. I mean, for those that the demand that in the areas where the demand is there, yes, I see it happening. Do I see it happening along the shoreline? Not so much along the shoreline, but probably inside New Jersey and up in the northwest corner, like where Alley is, where Spacious Skies Country Oaks is. There that area where they're located. Yes, I can see them expanding into the season.
Right, you can't promise for her. You got to let her talk.
We are doing exactly that right now, Joann, with Spacious Skies Country Oaks. We are experimenting, and we decided this on the last day of the planned season. Our general manager felt so confident that we had the demand to test it out that we just sort of toggled the switch over and said we were offering sites throughout the winter, limited sites, and with all the caveats that you were just describing, like you are coming in and we cannot guarantee that the infrastructure is going to be, like perfectly functional, just like it is in the middle of the summer. But we have so far in this very last minute experiment seen demand in inland, New Jersey, for winter camping, and it's wild, but we'll take it.
Yeah, I think it's out there, especially given the smaller subset of parks who are actually willing to do it or do it. I think the demand that is there is certainly enough, if you market it right, to be able to fill up. Certainly a limited subset of sites, and that's not just in New Jersey. I think that's everywhere. But it's interesting. We don't have data to prove it, so that hampers, I think, many people from trying it.
Yeah. Brian, I could add to that briefly, and if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Into our recap of our year. I'm just adding that briefly, that comment. We have one other location open year round in New Hampshire that we have 45 winter sites, and they're full all winter long. The demand is very robust, and when you pre-plan and market it, there's a lot of demand to capture. We have found. Thinking through, I guess, our 2023, Brian, we obviously have 15 campgrounds in a lot of different geographic locations. We saw a lot of variety inside of our portfolio for sure. We also have a lot of variety in terms of product type and just kind of where they're at in the evolution in their transition from a campground into the Spacious Skies program, and also varying levels of improvements, CapEx, et cetera, going on in the in various locations. So we had, across the board, I think we just did our kind of year-end update to the whole company this morning. So I'm a little bit well-versed, I guess, on the topic. The general theme is we saw good growth across the portfolio. We saw kind of our base investment thesis in the asset class, and that we could come in and professionalize the operations and add value through marketing and revenue management, just professionalizing and kind of putting it under the Spacious Skies brand. We've seen that proven out pretty well throughout the course of 2023. That was a milestone year for us in seeing that, I would say. And then, across the board, we have locations that have exceeded expectations for 2023. We've had campgrounds that have not exceeded expectations for 2023, on revenue or expenses or some other kind of KPI or key metric that we're tracking. But by and large, the momentum has been positive. We saw double-digit growth across the portfolio, and just kind of a good reinforcement that we're seeing good demand in the industry. And in most areas where we went off track in terms of expectations, most of it was self-induced, where we changed course on the game plan for whatever reason. We mis-executed on something. So just a good reinforcement that, again, kind of to the beginning of the question, good demand tailwinds we're still seeing. I'm sure Allie has a lot of color to fill in the blanks there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, let's take our New Jersey campground, just because it's applicable here. We came in to Spacious Skies Country Oaks as the new owners at the start of last season. And that, rather than ride the 2022 wave of, everyone's screaming demand and success, like we were overhauling sort of everything on the campground, where we were doing property improvements. We were sort of changing up operations in a big way. And so what we're now seeing at, locations like that, where we have done, all of this work ahead of time, like our 2023 at Spacious Skies this Country Oaks, was so improved to 2022, and the growth is still continuing there. So that's really exciting. And we feel, pretty confident that the space that we occupy is sort of like a Goldilocks kind of experience. We like to keep our campgrounds as campgrounds and offer like a pretty middle of the road offering, so that like the biggest pool of camping customers can come and find something to enjoy at a Spacious Skies Campgrounds. We retain that 80% RV tent site mix. We have the lodgings as just, sort of like added bonus. I mean, as far as like what our glamping units in the portfolio contain, we have a couple sites that have yurts, and then a few sites that have some cute retro RV rental type things. But otherwise we're solidly in that RV space, in that affordable vacation for the majority of camping guests and camping families. So we're excited about next year too.
So I'm curious, into question to either you or Eric, whoever wants to answer, or you can both abstain, right, if you don't want to answer this question. But just curious, there's a lot of, right, we've been through a tumultuous kind of last few years, both good and bad, right? Up and down. The numbers really don't match up with what they were in 2019 or what they were year over year, 21 to 22, 22 to 23. So of the things that Eric was talking about, of the missed expectations, right, for a couple of properties, do you feel like those are just really valuable learning experiences that will help you as you continue to grow Spacious Skies and then not go through that stuff again? Do you feel like that was just something that was a one-off because of COVID or coming out of it, or how do you view those things? Because a lot of owners struggle with it, and that's why I'm asking you guys, right?
Yeah, I think the general answer, we view those as really great opportunities to whatever mistake we can make at one campground, what we learn and can take out of that can go across the other 14 campgrounds. And we find that to be really kind of impactful and powerful. We're able to really, where we do miss or misstep, there's a lot of positive that transcends to the broader portfolio as a result. I think, looking at our portfolio, in terms of missed expectations, I can think of maybe one and a half instances where we were off from just original expectations, and it's just something different, as opposed to something that we can identify and kind of course correct and fix, and again apply that throughout the rest of the portfolio as well.
Well, and I think that's kind of what I'm going after, right? Is your guys' expertise with operating so many different campgrounds. There are a lot of people who just do the one, and maybe if their expectations are wrong, they panic and overcorrect or don't know how to kind of use this data in the best way possible. And so,
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Steve, you want to go?
Sure. I feel like I'm taking a lot of notes because I feel like the combined knowledge of all these entrepreneurs and industry leaders is really valuable to me.
It's
as an
literally the only reason I do the show, to pick all of their brains.
A couple things you mentioned, I just want to connect to is one. When you mentioned that idea of setting expectations, and I think that in my experience, renting RVs to people, many of whom are in an RV for the first time, that is the most important thing that we do in our pre-rental walkthrough. And one of the things that I say, and I'm teaching my employees to say, is to tell people to expect something to go horribly wrong. And at some point, something's going to go wrong. And it's not going to be the end of the trip. It's not going to be the end of the earth. And you're going to solve it. And you have resources to solve it. And that's part of the adventure. And universally, people report back to me, oh, this thing happened. And I'm so glad you said that. Because it's so new and people have such high expectations of this experience. And they've fantasized, many people that we rent to have fantasized about doing this for years before they finally start the process. So it's really important that we do that work with them. So to nod to that, you asked about sort of what if our expectations during the year were, how they turned out essentially. And one of the things that we experienced being very new to this, to this business is managing sort of explosive growth is very difficult, right? So we went our rentals from one unit to meter. Now we increased our revenue by 10x this year, and increased rentals by about 10x. We had about 120 rentals go out, and managing the rental work on one RV is fairly simple and straightforward. But multiple RVs and their maintenance, multiple systems to remember. It's impossible for one person to do it. So then you have to hire people. So through the year we started out, it was just me doing most of the operations work. My son on the back end and my wife as well. And we hired, someone to clean was the first person that was kind of the most valuable player. And then someone to do deliveries, and then multiple people to do deliveries, and then multiple people to clean. So managing employees and managing operations and then managing marketing. Every week, every day seemed like there's a new, you can call it an obstacle, you can call it an opportunity, a problem to solve, a small way that you could improve upon the work. And I have to say, I was having a conversation with somebody from an executive from RV Share a few days ago, and they said they were asking about our work, and they said, I told them where we were, and they said, oh, well, that's great because of the rental industry. This is from their perspective. I don't know if it's industry wide is true or not, but from their perspective, rentals were down last year or this past year, and I thought, wow, that is not at all my experience, right? Of course, going from 10x growth is you're not feeling like things are in any way going down. And then the next thing I thought was if it sort of is a bit of a rebound period after the COVID explosion. Okay, so what should I be pushing towards next year? What's the thing to be staring at? So that feels great to me because that feels like if we were able to do this year, the next year could be even more growth in front of us and more opportunities in that respect. I also have one other thing I wanted to add that we ended up adding on was we're talking about glamping. We actually acquired a beautiful Airstream motorhome, the big silver bullet looking motorhome in an engine-based unit that we will use, but we're not going to rent it out for driving. But we set up a glamping location, and it's just like just a beautiful little thing. But I wonder, as a business, is it we set it up and we were renting it, we're making money from it. But I kind of wonder, is it too much of a dilution? Should we just focus on rentals, or is these additional sort of opportunities, should we focus more or less? I don't know. That was my wondering. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
I have a question for you, Steve. So you have a fleet that you rent out, and then you also have those that you deliver to the campground, and you have there and for people who are ready to go in. Okay.
Yeah,
so for the ones that you rent out, and a lot of times, obviously, those are newbies that are coming in and renting for the first time. Do you know where they're going camping? Do you ask them where they're going, like what campground they're going to? Do you ever call the campground owner ahead of time and say, hey, listen, I've got a newbie coming into your campground, and maybe you just need to treat them with a little bit more tender, loving care? I think it would go a long way for both the campground owner to know that there may be somebody coming in that they may need to spend a little extra time with, and maybe for the renter to say, wow, at least they know I don't really know everything and how to hook up all the hoses, and they're going to give me a little extra help.
Especially escorting them to the site so they don't back into your bathhouse. Okay, sorry.
So a couple of points. Excellent idea. I would say about 50% of our delivery rentals are going to campgrounds, maybe even less. The other 50 or 60% are going to residences for some extra space, for relatives visiting, for for that sort of thing. For the ones that we're sort of right between a Jellystone and a KOA. So I know some of the staff there, but there's a manager in between. There are managers running these outfits that are in between me and the owner per se. So getting a relationship with the right people, I find in those situations, it's the folks at the front desk who are the most important, because the manager is really back of the house operations, sort of distracted by things. But if I can speak to somebody, I can speak to Sarah at the front desk who's going to be checking them in. That's great. The other thing is, when we deliver to campgrounds, we set it up, do all the connections, put the landing gear down, make sure it's all set up. Then what ends up happening is we have a shorter walkthrough that's more focused on their enjoyment rather than on the mechanics of setting up and breaking down an RV. Great idea, though.
I was just waiting to see if Joann wanted to say anything else.
No, I'm like I said, I just, because I hear it all the time from the, from the owners that obviously, especially in the height of the season when, folks are coming in, they've never rented an RV before. If there was a heads up to whoever, the front desk, the owner, the manager, that you've got some people coming in that you may need to spend a little extra time, I think that would go a long way for both the renters and the others. So.
Sometimes what I will do in that is I do make a call just to make sure that they've selected the right site, because generally speaking, they're booking a site and they're renting an RV from me. And I want to be sure that if there's a problem with the site, that we can resolve it as quickly as possible, rather than get there and find out, oh, this 34-foot motorhome is not going to fit in this 20-foot pad.
I think the New Jersey Association, and this is a revenue maker for you, Joann, you should make like giant bumper stickers that say student driver, and you could give them out to Steve, and they could put them on the back of the rig.
Student camper.
And they could be branded New Jersey, right? NewJerseyCamping.com.
Good idea, Brian.
Win-win. Okay, let's go to Greg from Camp Strategy, who maybe didn't exist in Camp Strategy at the beginning of the year. So this will be an interesting story, perhaps. And then kind of you can weave in here and tell us what Camp Strategy is too, Greg. I'd love to hear about it and how you're kind of different.
Well, I'm certainly different. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative. It depends on which side you look at it.
Negative. For me,
all
it's
right,
a negative.
Fair enough. Can I first say that this is the first MC Fireside Chats that I'm on. It's also the first one that I've ever seen a guest speaker with antlers. Joshua has the coolest set of antlers. I'm wondering, do you shed those like once a year, or are those permanently affixed? That's really good, man. I like it. I like it a lot. It's perfectly done. So yeah, sorry, I have a hard time with chicken. Yeah. So we, the beginning of the year, really my expectations were to continue working for. I have sort of some smaller clients that I do work for here and there, but I have sort of one bigger client that most of my time gets allocated to. And, I had hoped to pick up some additional work, and I did. I got to do a little bit for Eric and Allie, which was a lot of fun. My clients rolling on and things are going all right. And I'm looking at my numbers and going, well, this year's I'm a little bit ahead of last year, so that's good. And then just kind of out of nowhere in April, I got a call from Jeff Hoffman, and yeah, we had touched base about trading ideas and things before because he was doing consulting, and he has a lot more industry contacts and street cred than I do. He's a very recognizable face and name. So, you know, he just said, well, I've got this other guy, Justin Brady, and he's really good with accommodations, and I think the three of us could put something together. And yeah, next thing you know, we're trying to hash out an operating agreement and come up with a way to put this together. And since then, Justin has dropped out, which is unfortunate because he is really, both he and Jeff, the part that I like about this the most is that those two, even though Justin's not a part of it now, I can still say this about him. Like, I feel like I learn something from them every time I have a conversation with them. They're just really, really smart. And so, yeah, the partnership for me was a no-brainer. I'm still working with my client with Roadville Campgrounds, and but now added on Camp Strategy, and yeah, I can't believe we're closing out the year already, really, because our conversations about forming the group started in April. So it's kind of amazing that we're 11 days away from the end of the year. And looking ahead to next year. Wait, am I jumping the shark?
Yeah, you can't look ahead to 2024 yet.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about Camp Strategy, though, right? Generally
Sure.
speaking, since it's your first time on the show, Greg's going to be a recurring guest for us on the Campground Owner Show once a month in 2024. And just talk a little bit about, because there's so many of these groups popping up. At least that's my perception. And maybe just because I attend so many of the different shows, everybody wants to do RV park management, and everybody wants to consult, and everybody wants to, but I feel like they're typically all going after the larger, higher end of the market, wanting to be all things to all people. I want to be a management group that hires all the people and does all the things, but that's not what you want to do. And I think that's really a compelling story, and it's an underserved market. So I'd like to hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We did have that conversation about going after management in the beginning, and just kind of decided that, especially as we tried to form the group and get things together, that was something that we would stray away from. It's just such a heavy lift. If we could pick up a park here locally or something in Northeast Ohio, we might make a run at it. But we really want to be. So background on me, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I owned a campground. That was for 26 years, worked as an owner operator with my mom and dad. And, if anybody who's ever done it knows that when you're an owner operator, you've got every hat on possible. There's everything from baseball cap to 10-gallon hat, and you're doing all the jobs and feeling really overwhelmed, and at times anyway. And so that's kind of the position that we approach our consulting from. And Jeff has also been an owner operator of multiple campgrounds. And so we really want to just be a consulting and professional advisory firm. That doesn't mean that we can't help with things like design or layout or development or due diligence, but we don't want to wade into the management side, because we really want to focus our efforts on, even smaller, like we were mom and pop owners. Not that we don't have conversations with capital groups and VC guys who are looking to acquire 50 of them in a year. But we really want to focus on the individual owners, or the groups, that are maybe 15 to 20 parks, like Spacious guys, where we can be more effective on a one-to-one basis. And we both really believe in leading with our beliefs. So Jeff is we're both very pragmatic, but he's the numbers guy. Like, I've never seen anyone get excited over an Excel sheet before, but he does. I don't know how that's possible, but he sees numbers and it's just, his eyes light up. So he enjoys that side. I really enjoy the philosophical side and getting owners to think about their why and their vision, because and this isn't mine, it's not proprietary or anything, but like, just in general, people don't buy what you do or sell, they buy why you do it. And getting people to think about their business from that perspective, especially if they are owner operators wearing all those hats, it can be really challenging, especially if they're left-brained really, right-brained, really analytical thinkers and not creative side, that can be really difficult. But once you bridge that, then it sort of opens everything up for us. Then we can really affect change and help somebody because we can determine their vision and move them forward into that vision rather than trying to develop their park for them. That's not something we're interested in doing.
All right. Yeah, that kind of, you and Jeff both I've known for a very long time, right? And we were at all the conventions, and I kept Jeff right beside me because he always says something intelligent. He can balance me out. But people want to sit down with me and talk to me too. So, but yeah, I'm really excited to see where you guys go. I think we're doing a website for you, so that'll be nice, hopefully. And then I'm excited, about the new logo, the new pieces, the strategy, and again, I think that's a really big underserved market. Is the people that, yes, like you said, you're having conversations with the big people, you will work with the big people, but the willingness to work with also the small people is something that I feel like maybe is there for a lot of people or some people, but they don't necessarily have the flexibility to do that given the structure of whatever company they're working for.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And we're really interested in having those conversations with people. It's really easy to sit across the table from someone and listen to the story and go, wow, I used to be in that chair. Right. It's so easy to relate to those folks and to help them succeed. It's so rewarding to watch someone go from frustrated or overworked to success, moving them into a space, maybe mentally or personally that then affects the business. It's so gratifying. It's so rewarding. So yeah, that is definitely something that we're interested in.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Greg, and feel free to pitch in. We're going to talk about 2024 in a second here, actually right now. But I want to start and just say one thing from my perspective. Right now, I normally don't talk on the show very often about myself, and I don't intend to now, but a little bit about our plans for 2024. Like, we have hundreds of them. But I think one of the important things we've heard on this show again today and on several shows, many that we've done throughout the year, is this lack of data and understanding of the ability to have the information. And in some cases, it exists. It's in a KOA report. It's in an OHI report. I almost said ARVIC. It's in an OHI report. I got it right. Jeff was going to find me every time I said that. I think that data exists out there, and certainly there are, park owners who are trying their best to collect it. They're aggregating it. CampSpot's doing a good job of it in their analytics platform. But I think there's still a big gap that maybe in some ways is unsolvable the way we've been currently collecting data. And feel free to weigh in if you guys have thoughts on this after I'm done. I don't want to take a long time, but just the old school method, right? We have to email X number of people and wait for a response with a survey link, or we have to call them on the phone and we have to catch them during a busy day or a not busy time and ask them a bunch of questions that they may or may not be truthful with us on. That data can only carry us so far. And one of the things we're going to work on in 2024 with Scott Baer as part of our MC Hospitality Highlights is trying to uncover more of that data from a let's look at things that, like, I think KOA typically looks at the camper perspective. We want to look at campground perspective. How can we pull out the data that we have from a marketing agency standpoint, from everything that's on, with our tools and automation and AI, and use that to help campground owners understand what is impacting the campgrounds, not just the camper side of the experience, which I think KOA does a great job for. And so here's the crazy idea that I have, and you guys can tell me I'm crazy. It's going to sound nuts, right? But Scott and I did this on a call. So as a sub addition to MC Hospitality Highlights, what we want to look at, and we want to be very transparent when we're doing this, right? Totally separate from MC Hospitality Highlights. We've actually built a tool to do synthetic user research with AI, where we can actually have AI create 50 to 500 personalities of people based on what it knows of the entire world, like create a Sarah and a Tom and whatever else, their age range, everything else. And then we can give them survey questions and respond to them and actually get a data set that Scott said was fairly accurate for winter camping, which kind of shocked us. But I feel like this is an interesting, again, as long as we're disclosing it and we're saying it's not real people and separating it from the real surveys, is this something that could give us more granular data? Because we can do that at scale. We can do winter camping in Arizona. We can do winter camping in Texas. We can do that's never going to get done unless we hire hundreds of people to call thousands and thousands of people. So that's one of the things I'm interested in 2024 is seeing if maybe we can use that to help owners and operators. But I'd love to hear from you guys about what your 2024 plans are too. So who would like to go first?
I'd be happy to go first. The 2024 plans for us, we have an expansion bottleneck. So I'm looking at that and thinking about, we're having discussions about how to manage that, being that on our current geographic location, limited, and we're looking past 15 units. So rather than get to 13 and then make a decision, we're sort of thinking about, okay, what would happen at this point? That's one thing, is sort of exploring 3 or 4 different options for that. The other thing, and this goes to your conversation about data, the RV rentals at the moment are my side hustle. In a year or two, it'll turn into my only hustle. But my day job is I work as an educational consultant, and I work in the area of continuous improvement in education, which is all about turning data into actionable steps. And we everywhere, we're drowning in information. We have lots of information available to us. And we tend to, as a result, look for the biggest thing to solve the biggest problem. And people get lost in that, because that ends up, us trying to find a one-shot deal. And really the most mileage can be gained by lining up your lowest hanging fruit, your easiest solutions, and picking them off one by one, right? So if you have, how can you get a little bit more profitable? How can you have a little less breakage? How can you have a little more queries coming in? Those things are really attainable. You just have to pay attention to your data. And that's something, we'll have after this year, we'll have a year's data on multiple units with user profiles, rental profiles. We're also, as a member of RVDA, we have access to the Go RVing database, where folks inquire about rentals and have those data. And my job as the operations guy is to think, okay, how can I make the RVs a little healthier so they're a little bit less downtime? How can I get a little bit more information to consumers so that they rent a little bit longer, rather than try to keep it the shortest amount of time? How can I, get one more day? How can I make sure that when we do check-ins and departures, that we give the right amount of information, so we don't end up having to charge for additional fees at the end, which generally speaking, we don't make money from. It's just we're covering ourselves. So it's really lost time for us, things like filling up gas and that sort of thing. All those little things will stack up. And it's true for any of the folks, any of the chicklets around the screen. Those little valuable changes and additions are where you can really, create some great mileage. That's what I'm looking forward to next year. The other thing is, getting to the end of next year, at this point next year, I want to be able to say very definitively, I'm ready to retire from my day job and do this full time. So that's where I'm at.
I think you'll get there. We have faith in you.
I will.
I mean, I really think, I really believe rentals has a very bright future ahead of us. And we talked a little bit about this on the dealer show from RVDA and in both Canada and the United States. And I think there's a lot of unknowns, but I think that as RV sales come down, I think there's still going to be a lot of people who want to go camping who don't have rigs.
Right.
And so I think that's where rentals really is an interesting, I really want to see where that goes. So
there's a break-even point for folks, and that if you are, there's lots of folks who want to own a rig but don't use it a lot, and there's lots of folks who own a rig and use it a lot. But somewhere in that mix, we have folks who are experienced RVers who've chosen not to purchase a rig because they realize if they're going out for 2 or 3 weeks a year, maintaining the rig, storing the rig is more costly to them than just having a high quality rental. And in fact, you get lot rot on rigs if you're not taking care of your unit. We had a unit that came in as a consignment, and we had problems with the generator because generator has to either be drained or have fuel stabilizer in it or be run once a month. And they left it for a year. So that, that destroys the pump and the filter. And little things like that, not everyone knows. Tires age out before they wear out. There's all these items that make ownership a bit of a project. And if you're prepared for it and you like it, that's fine. But lots of people aren't. Or they'll use a rig a lot one year and then peter off. So rentals are a really great opportunity for people to be in the lifestyle and do what we love, but to not have the hassle of ownership.
Well, and I think that's something that the industry, I feel like, needs to see more of. And some people certainly get it, but like the RV rental companies are fantastic for campgrounds. Like it's just bringing people into the market that would not otherwise be willing to drop $100,000 to $500,000 on a rig, or who, like, if you sit down and I know Allie, you know this, right? If you sit down with Earl from Black Folks Camp 2, we were drinking with him for like 3 days straight in Ontario earlier this year. They're just talking about the different markets that are untapped and underserved and aren't outreach to enough. And some of that, like, obviously includes what Earl is doing in that great work, and some of the other work that you're doing too, Allie, with your groups. We still have to have that conversation, by the way. I'm going to forget about that, about Ojai, about reaching some of those people. But even in the urban people who live in like the Torontos, there's such a huge different demographic of Black, Asian, male, female, young, old, everywhere. They don't have anywhere to park a rig in Toronto. And so then you have the expense of basically buying another house, storing it, like you were saying, all the upkeep. So I feel like if there's different methods of entry, depending on what your wants and needs are as a consumer, boy, that helps campgrounds a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, who wants to go next?
Our outlook for 2024?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that we are putting more focus or continued focus on operations. So, we got to 15 campgrounds in a really short period of time. And the last one joined the collection this past April. So, comparatively to the 2 years prior, buying two campgrounds was really slow as far as acquisitions go. But that was intentional, based on sort of like reacting to a lot of things, including like the macro environment, but also just like what we had to focus on as a company. And so we have been, Eric and I in particular, spent a lot of time sort of examining what we were doing and how we were operating. This past year, Eric and I did a really rare trip together throughout the whole collection. And we actually posted all about it on social media this past summer. And like a lot of things came up, and we were so lucky to have had that opportunity to really take a microscopic look at everything. And so 2024 is a continuation of just like improving how we are running our campgrounds, the experience that we are offering our guests. We have a brand new director of operations that is joining our team, who comes with a lot of experience. She is really like the most significant new hire that Spacious Skies has had in a really long time. So we're really excited to have her on board, and just to take this foundation that we have built and really hone it and make sure that like staying at a Spacious Skies Campgrounds and being employed by Spacious Skies Campgrounds is just it was enjoyable as possible, so that when it makes sense to add to the collection again and to start acquiring more campgrounds, that we have everything really buttoned up and just ready to plug in.
So is it fair to say, obviously operations is a piece of where you're expecting to go in 2024 and continue to improve on that? Are there other things that excite you about 2024 besides operations, or like where do you think the most exciting thing that happens in 2024 for Spacious Skies is?
Gosh, I mean, there's so much. Just continuing to grow and develop the brand and our presence is also really paramount and a big focus for us. So what that looks like and what other channels we might be exploring, or what other systems changes or improvements or whatnot, to be seen. But Spacious Skies, we never rest. We are always reinventing and making sure that we are in constant evolution.
I don't want to skip over you, Eric. So do you have anything to add?
No additions. I think it's just, the capital markets and the broader economy has dealt the hand that it has, and we're going to lean into that and just really hone operations. Our goal is, when the market turns, when that foundation, as Ali has described, as we, put that work into it, to be ready when the market is ready to acquire at scale.
It almost seems like the timing of the market is very much in your favor for what you guys needed to do based on what you're saying, right? Like it almost seems like it worked out perfectly.
Yes, I think it had achieved like the scale that we needed to achieve to make like the company run just in time. So yeah, it's a little bit of fate.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to checking back with you in 2024, see how things are going. Joshua, you want to go next?
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, I jumped up a little ahead before, but we just got built now. So we just had our first guest. So 2024 is going to be learning absolutely everything about running the resort and learning all the things that I don't know right now. It was hard. It was a very hard endeavor to build the resort itself. And now the real hard part starts of operating it, the fun part of operating the business. So 2024 is going to be that. I really want to look at building out a lot of our packages and experiences for people here. I think that's going to be one of the bigger parts that we can do now that we've got the cool structures up and going and stuff like that. But it's going to be, what can people do within the parks? Our tiki bar and park itself has been poised for such amazing growth. We saw the biggest year that we've ever had at the tiki bar. Our park was up 25% in daily passes and was one of the highest parks in the province. So it was a really big year for that, and I don't expect that momentum to be slowing down, especially with a project like this that's in the area. So I think 2024 is just going to be an amazing year. I don't want to see any more growth per se right now. We really need to manage the operations that we have and maybe tune out a couple of the smaller operations that we have in our portfolio. But really want to concentrate on this glamping experience and creating those amazing packages for our guests.
I'm really glad there are smart people out there to balance what I want. I just want to grow and do all the crazy things all at once. So I'm really glad there are smarter people than me out there who are helping the industry kind of balance out.
Yeah, we did. We acquired 2-3 restaurants, summertime restaurants, and then with the tiki bar, and then we decided to build a glamping resort. And I have a bunny hugger clothing line as well, and it's just too much for people to do. So we really want to concentrate on what's the big profit ones and which ones mean the most to us, and concentrate on those and do a better job of those ones, because you can only do so much.
So what do you think in an ideal world, like the end of 2024, either you're back on the show or right we're having a conversation or whatever, what do you think you have to look back on in 2024 to say was truly successful for you?
I've set some goals for myself with my business coach, and one of the big ones that I would love to see is being ranked one of the top 5 places to stay in Canada. I didn't name the publication, so it can be any publication. I think hitting some of those milestones for us is going to be good, because I feel like as entrepreneurs we never really step back and pat ourselves on the back and say we achieved those things that we wanted to, unless we set some hard milestones and goals. So that's one of them that I'd really like to see. And then I'd really like to see this park grow even above the 25%, make it the top park in Saskatchewan again, and again have some more of these cool packages.
Awesome. I might have to come out and visit you. We'll see. I'm not too far from you.
You're
in Calgary, so
yeah, it's not too
far.
far.
I think there's a nice whiskey distillery out there that I really, really love.
Black Fox, and
yes, is that the 7 whiskey or whatever? Yeah,
and it's not too far from us here. There's some really
the most
cool
delicious whiskey I've literally it's probably my top 5 whiskey in the whole world.
Which
is weird because it's in Canada, but
there's some really cool places around here, and some of the packages that we've put together, I'm really, really happy. We just got to announce it yesterday. I believe I'm saying that we're the world's only glamping resort that you can actually rent a tank along with your stay. So we added on a package. It's a Ukrainian-built shirt. And we took it out on the ice here. We had some influencers out. We went out on the ice and ripped around in it. Foot falls through. It's amphibious. We're planning on some tours to take our guests with. So pretty proud to say that you can rent a tank when you stay at Blackstrap Glamping Resort.
I think we should come do a show from that.
I think so.
Yeah.
If you go on our Instagram and our Facebook, you'll see the tank ride with the influencers and stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate you being here. And I just want to say we are a couple minutes over because we got a couple minutes late start. So if anybody needs to leave, please feel free to do so or hang out if you want. But we're just going to do Joann and Greg, and then we'll wrap up the show. So Joann, what do you?
Yeah. So, for 2024, as I said, we're looking for it to be a good year for us. I will tell you that the demand for seasonal sites is very strong in New Jersey. We do 6 to 8 camping and RV consumer shows every year, and that is where a lot of folks get their information on the seasonal sites and where they want to stay. And for the rental market, we see that there's a lot of folks in the last 2 to 3 years who have come to these RV shows who don't necessarily want to purchase an RV, but they are looking to either rent an RV and take it into a campground. So there might be an opportunity, Steve, for you to get your information out to some of the RV and camping shows across the country for folks who are looking to rent. But we're looking for a good year. The consumer shows last year were very strong in attendance, and I think going into 2024, we're probably going to see the numbers at the consumer shows increase again. And we'll be back in Montreal, Canada. Montreal's a big area for us in New Jersey. We get a lot of folks that come down from Montreal down to around the shore areas each and every year. So, we spread ourselves out as much as we can, making sure that we personally have booths at 6 to 8 shows, but we have our brochures through Anderson Distribution at 27 shows around the country. So, we're exposed out there as much as we can about camping in New Jersey. And I'll just put a plug in real quick. We've got our conference coming up, our 33rd annual camping conference for our campground owners and managers, February 19th to the 21st in Orlando. So anyone looking to go to a camping show, it's non-educational sessions, a trade show. Feel free to go to our website for that. It's called www.campgroundconference.com. So looking forward to having another successful conference in 2024.
So what do you think? Same question to you that I asked Joshua. What do you think has to happen for the New Jersey camping industry as a whole for 2024 to say, like, that was great?
Weather, Brian. I mean, we are definitely very, very weather, unfortunately, dependent in New Jersey. I mean, obviously in other states too, but when we have good weather, we see our numbers go up. When we get rainy weather and cold weather, whether it's summer or the fall or the springtime, obviously it has a huge impact on our numbers. So, we're always praying to the weather gods for good weather, sunshine in New Jersey.
So weather control is not. See, so I'm not that ambitious compared to that. She wants to control the whole weather.
Weather is probably our biggest. I mean, that's really what drives it a lot of the time. Obviously advanced reservations are one thing, but those last minute kind of reservations, it's all about the weather that's coming up for the weekend. And I don't think, fees, as far as fees go. I mean, I think in New Jersey, our fees are on the average of where they are for most of our surrounding states. So, it is you do get a nice bang for your buck when you camp in New Jersey.
For sure. All right, Greg. Last but not least.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So 2024 for us, I mean, being new, it's really about trying to get our operation defined a little bit better. We know what our roles are, but we want to make things work, obviously, very smoothly for anybody that takes us on. We're really excited because we just signed. Well, we're waiting for the signed contract, but we did pick up a new glamping park here in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park here in Ohio. They've got it's a family-owned property. They scored an amazing piece of land that's in the national park, but they were able to acquire it. They've got 6 cabins, 11 canvas tents in a gorgeous location on a hillside in the valley. We're gonna put in 5 more tents. They've got a brick cabin that they are rehabbing, and so right now we're sort of tactical planning for this year and executing, and then building some strategic planning for them moving forward 25, 26, 27. They've got a lot of really good ideas there, including adding maybe 20 to 25 RV spaces. So we're excited about that one.
What about a tank?
No tanks. I was, God, when he said that, I was like, you got to be kidding me. I don't know what reason it is, but I'm going to find a reason to come up there and see the tank. That's ridiculous. He's got antlers and a tank. The guy's got it all. Completely jealous of that. Speaking of jealous, Joann, if you have any parks near Cape May, say October, that need me for about a week or so, have them call me. I'm a giant bird nerd. I'd be happy to go. I love the festival. I visited.
Well, we certainly have lots of parks down there in the birding area.
Yep.
And let me just say this to Allie and Eric real quick. Don't even think about the tank in New Jersey. It is never going to fly.
No permitting for that.
Right. We trust you are the expert on what can fly.
Sorry, go ahead, Greg, please. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's all right. Like I said, man, you throw a chicken out there and I'm like, oh, look, I'm just gone. But yeah, that's really it. We're gonna hit some state association shows because again, we feel like those bring, and I know you and I have had this conversation, Brian. I think a lot of people, consultants and others in the industry, they overlook those state shows. It is difficult, obviously, to try to hit, shows all over the place. They tend to be grouped together around the same season. Maybe you don't have a big enough staff to get out and hit a bunch of them, but it just, the conversations that you can have at those state level shows are so much more intimate, one-on-one, so much more substantive than maybe what we had at the Arvik Expo and not, or the Ojai Expo. And that's not to, to put that down. It's just, it's a different crowd and it's a different level of engagement. So yeah, we're going to just try to get out, get the Camp Strategy name out and try to help folks across the country succeed. I'm excited for it.
Awesome. We're looking forward to more conversations in 2024. Let's go around the room real quick before we close up. Do we want to what's your New Year's resolution? I'm going to put you all on the spot. Steve, you want to go first?
I don't really have a New Year's resolution, but just
you
create New Year's.
A lot of pressure here.
Well, here's the thing. We'll be flying back to the United States on New Year's Eve. Right now we're in Amsterdam, and we're renting an RV, and we're going to be traveling through Belgium, France, Spain, and Portugal in a rented RV that we're renting ourselves. So that's my New Year's resolution is to come back from that excited about the new year.
I don't think you'll have any trouble doing that, sir. Well, maybe I would want to stay longer in Holland and drive an RV through there. But anyway, so all right, who's next? All right, I'm going to pick Eric.
Oh, Allie was just about to speak.
We're going to take Allie off, and then we're just going to compare your answers and make sure that you're back on. And
I think that my New Year's resolution is to really lean into the new team member, not to put too much pressure on, any one person, but Eric and I have really made a lot of sacrifices over these last couple of years at the expense of, our family, life and attention. And I really look forward to, taking more time with our children and, take just time together as a family, because it's been really missing in these last, couple of years as we've been in just crazy building up mode. So I really look forward to that New Year's resolution.
That almost has to be your answer now, Eric. There's nothing else.
Yes.
Thanks for being a guest, Eric. We'll see you.
Very wise answer. That's a very wise answer.
Really, if you have anything to add, Eric, you can. But otherwise, Joshua?
Yeah, some of our goals is going to be being named one of the top 5 places to stay in Canada in a publication. That one's a goal that I set for myself, that I've definitely pop a bottle of champagne after that happens. And I've been on this podcast. Another podcast that I really would like to be on is the Glamping podcast. So if anyone knows Nick and the team over there, maybe shoot him a little message or something like that, a little referral. And then
thing on LinkedIn, I'll introduce you guys. Nick runs a great show.
Yeah, he does. I'd love that. Perfect. And then another one is just now that a lot of the chaos is over and we're getting back into is find a good work-life balance, being consistent in the gym and healthy habits in my lifestyle to make myself a better business owner, leader, and entrepreneur.
Awesome. Joann and Greg, New Year's resolutions, and we'll wrap it up.
Go ahead, Joann.
I knew you were going to answer. My New Year's resolution is, get myself more healthy, coming into the new year. Hopefully have the campgrounds in New Jersey have a fabulous, a great, successful, profitable year. And another one is to get the campground execs from across the country, the Campground Association of Management Professionals, get us together again twice a year in 2024 and collaborate on things that are happening in our individual states across the country and work together on moving forward.
Awesome. Greg?
Right on. Personal, I'm going to Colombia on a birding tour, really nerdy thing in February. So, and despite it being a birding tour, my resolution is to find, we've never seen a fer de lance. It's like deadliest snake in South America. I would love to see, I'm a snake geek too. So that's resolution 1 on the personal side. On the business side, I hope that I'm resolving to try to get the folks that we talk with to see the conservation side of what they do. I think a lot of folks don't realize how important campgrounds are in conservation and how profitable promoting conservation at your parks can be. And so that's kind of like, that's my personal crossing over into the business side. I'm loaded with ideas on that, and I really hope to share that and help owners see that they can be both green and profitable. And that's just something that's really important to me, always has been. So I'm really going to try to push that without pushing it.
Awesome. Well, let us know how Colombia is. I've been thinking about Central America, but South America too. But I thought of you the other day. I buy a lot of my goods for people for Christmas off of like Uncommon Goods or weird sites like that. And there's like a bird call set. I was like, oh, that's Greg.
Right on, man.
But
next time we'll do a quiz. I can do somewhere between 150 and 200 by calls alone. So we can do like, you play the call, we just put your whole audience to sleep. It'll be, I'm sure it'd be great.
I want at least one bird call right now.
At least one bird call right now. No, I don't mean I can identify them. So like somebody.
Oh, I thought you said you could do them. Okay.
All right. I can barred owl. Right. That's pretty good. I think that's maybe,
but we don't know enough to be sure if it's accurate. So.
That's how you know it's good.
I will say it is accurate.
There we go. All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate another, again, we've had so many good shows this year. I think I don't really set New Year's resolutions. I think mine was just to go to the gym. That way I know I break it on the first day and I can concentrate on what really needs done. But, I'm super excited to have, again, all of you on this show, all of the guests that we've had throughout 2024. I'm just a talking head without intelligent people to talk to and communicate with and hear their stories and help everybody else. So just super grateful for all of you who've been here and helped support the show. And we'll see you in 2024 for another exciting season for the outdoor hospitality sector. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Right on. Thank you, Brian.
Nice to meet you all.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of MC Fireside Chats with your host, Brian Searl. Have a suggestion for a show idea? Want your campground or company in a future episode? Email us at hello@moderncampground.com. Get your daily dose of news from moderncampground.com. And be sure to join us next week for more insights into the fascinating world of outdoor hospitality.